In this session, we will do questions related to specific heat capacity and specific latent heat. So before the start, I want everyone to recall the formula. The formulas which we can use, like example, the heat capacity or thermal capacity, that is energy divided by the change in temperature. So heat capacity or thermal capacity is energy divided by change in temperature. So in terms of symbolic representation, heat capacity is denoted by capital C. The energy which we supply, that is given by E, and E or Q, some books you will find they use letter Q. And the temperature change, it's the difference in the temperature, so we can also say delta T. This is the first formula before starting the questions related to the topic. Then the second formula is a specific heat capacity. The specific heat capacity is equal to the energy which we supply divided by mass into temperature change. So specific heat capacity is energy divided by mass into temperature change. Specific heat capacity is denoted by small c, energy is denoted by E, mass is denoted by M, and temperature change is delta T. This is the second formula. Like if in the question specific heat capacity is given, we'll use the second formula. If thermal capacity or heat capacity is given, we will use the first formula. If in the question the state is changing, like example, a solid convert into a liquid or a liquid change to a gas, so we can use specific latent heat the specific latent heat is equals to energy divided by the mass. So it is how much energy is needed to change the state. That's why it is energy, 1 kilogram of a substance. The specific latent heat is denoted by letter L. Energy which we supply is denoted by E, and the mass is M. And in heating, most of the time we use electrical heater. So energy supplied by the heater or the power of the heater, the relation between power, energy and time, that power is equals to energy divided by time. This is a formula which we already discussed in general physics, that energy is how much work done in a unit time, or power is how much work done in a unit time, or energy divided by time. And there's also another formula. Right now you will just learn the formula. Later in electricity we will derive this formula. So that is the power of the heater, the power of electrical appliances, that is a product of voltage and current. So when voltage and current are multiplied with each other, we can also get the power. This is a formula. It's valid. It is used to find power of electrical appliances. Like example, if I want to find power of the refrigerator or a fridge, power of a bulb, lamp, computer, these are all electrical devices. So whenever we want the power of these devices, the voltage which they use multiplied by the current, we'll use this formula. P is equals to VI. Power is denoted by P, voltage is denoted by V, and the current is I. So P is equals to VI, or P is equals to energy divided by time. So these are the formulas which you have to learn. The first two, one is the heat capacity, other one is specific heat, and the third one is latent heat when there is a change in state. The power can be energy divided by time, and most of the time, because we are using electrical heaters to supply the energy, the heat energy, that's why it is a product of voltage and current. Now we'll start questions related to the topic, which is about specific heat capacity and latent heat. The exercise, the first exercise MCQs are there, and the second exercise there are structure questions. And most of these questions, this like even the MCQs are like numerical, like you have to solve to get the final answer. In the question they mention a beaker contains 0.05 kilogram of water. So we have the mass of the water. Always the best thing is what is given to you, you sort out. So 0.5 kilogram is the mass of the water at temperature 3. So that is the starting temperature. The beaker is heated until the internal energy increase by 21 kilojoule. So 21 kilojoule means 21,000 joules. The energy is equals to 21,000 joule, because the SI unit of energy is joule. The specific heat capacity. So specific heat capacity is given, that small c, 4,200 joule per kilogram degree centigrade. If the specific heat capacity unit is joule per kilogram, then the mass should be in kilogram. If it is some question they give you joule per gram, in that case the mass should be in gram. The question is, what is the temperature of the water? It has been heated, like we need the final temperature. So as the specific heat capacity is given, so when we check which formula is valid, so the formula of the specific heat capacity is valid. That specific heat capacity is equals to energy divided by mass into temperature change. We don't need change in temperature, we need the final temperature. But first we'll find the temperature change. The specific heat capacity is 4,200. Energy which we supply, that is 21,000. The mass is half or 0.5. And temperature change, first we'll find the temperature change. So if we need the temperature change will be multiplied there, because temperature change is divided, other side it will be multiplied, and 4,200 will divide. So we can write that the temperature change, the difference in the temperature, will be equal to 21,000 divided by half into 4,200. So when we solve the temperature change, the change in the temperature or the difference in the temperature will come out as 10. But in the question they're asking what is the temperature of the water after it is heated. They're asking for final temperature. So whenever object is heated, the temperature change is a final minus initial. So temperature change is the final temperature minus initial temperature. The temperature change we work out, that was 10. The final temperature we don't know, and the initial or starting temperature was 3. So this is minus 3. If it is minus, other side will be added. So it will be 10 plus 3. So what is T2? 10 plus 3 is equals to 13. So final temperature of the water when it is coming out from this, or when it is there in the beaker, when we supply 21,000 joules, the final temperature of this water is 13 degree centigrade. Is it clear, this question? That how we work out the final temperature? The next question, we have equal masses of two liquids. By example, we have two containers. which are filled with equal masses of the liquid. Liquid 1 is heated for 100 seconds. So we supply heat energy. We supply the heat energy for 100 seconds. And for liquid 2, it is heated for 200 seconds. So we supply heat energy for liquid 2 for 200 seconds by the heater with the same power. So heater is having the same power. The heater which is used to supply heat energy is having the same power. Each liquid has the same temperature change, so the temperature change is also same for both liquids. If the temperature change for one is like 20 to 25, the container A, the container B is also from 20 to 25. Which statement is correct? We have to identify which statement is correct. So when we compare the thermal capacity is energy divided by temperature change. So it means the thermal capacity is directly proportional to energy and thermal capacity is inversely proportional to temperature change. But in the question, as you can see, both have the same temperature change as they mentioned. So this temperature change is same. So it means the thermal capacity is directly proportional to the energy supplied. The one which we supply more energy will have a higher thermal capacity. The one which we supply less energy will have a lower thermal capacity, because the temperature change, as I mentioned, it is same for both beakers. Now, which beaker we are supplying more energy? Here we supply energy for 100 second, and here we supply energy for 200 second. So which beaker we are supplying more energy? If you are using the same heater, the heater is used to heat container A for 100 seconds and for container B for 200 seconds. So for container B, we are supplying heat energy for a longer period of a time. So we can say that more energy is supplied to B and less energy is supplied to A. And the one which more energy is supplied, it will have a higher thermal capacity or heat capacity. So we can say the heat capacity of 2, the liquid 2 is more than heat capacity of liquid 1. So which statement is correct? When we check each beaker of a liquid has the same thermal capacity, that's wrong, because B absorb more energy, so it means B have more thermal capacity or high thermal capacity. Each beaker receives the same energy, that's also wrong, because beaker 1 we heated only for 100 seconds, whereas beaker B we heated for 200 seconds. Liquid 1 receive more energy than liquid 2, that's also wrong, because liquid 1 only receive energy for 100 seconds, whereas liquid 2 receive the energy for 200 seconds. When we check the last option, the thermal capacity of liquid 1 is less than thermal capacity of liquid 2. That is the right answer, because if we supply more energy, then the thermal capacity of the material will be higher, as the thermal capacity is directly proportional to energy supplied and inversely proportional to the temperature change. Is it clear, this question? Is this clear, question 2, that why thermal capacity of liquid 1 is less than thermal capacity of liquid 2? Because the liquid 1 receive more and liquid 2 receive more energy, so it will have a high thermal capacity or heat capacity. Another question: water of mass 100 gram at temperature 100 is converted into steam at 100. The latent heat of vaporization is given 2300 joule per gram. How much thermal energy is absorbed? So whenever latent heat is given, the state change in state is there. The latent heat is energy divided by mass. The latent heat is given 2300. The energy which we supply we don't know, and the mass is 100. Why we did not convert the mass from gram to kilogram? Because the unit of the latent heat is joule per gram. So if it is joule per gram, mass should be in gram. If this was joule per kilogram, then the mass should be in kilogram. So this 2300 is multiplied by 100. So 230,000 joule, or C will be the right answer for latent heat. Uh, Not latent heat, the energy supplied to convert this water into steam. A piece of melting ice, so ice is melting at 0 and a boiling water is there in a lab at 20. What happened to temperature? Whenever there is a change in state, there is no change in temperature, because melting ice means a solid is converting into liquid, and a boiling water means that a liquid is converting into gas. So temperature of a melting ice or temperature of a boiling water will remain same or constant. It won't change. In this question, so you will find most of the MCQs related to this topic are numericals, like mostly calculation is there. So we have a copper container of mass 0.2 kilogram contains 0.1 kilogram of water. The specific heat capacity of the copper is 385 joules per kilogram degree centigrade, whereas for water it is 4200 joule per kilogram degree centigrade. How much energy is needed to raise the temperature of copper container and water by 10 degree? So when specific heat capacity is given, so here what happened, like example, the water is there inside a container which is filled with inside the copper container. So we want to find how much energy is needed to change the temperature of the water by 10 degree, the temperature change, and change the temperature of the cup also by 10 degree, the copper cup. So first, separately we will find separately, because they have different specific heat capacities. So separately we'll find the energy absorbed by the water and energy absorbed by the copper, and the total energy will be the sum of energy absorbed by the copper and energy absorbed by the water. So first, for energy absorbed by the copper, because a specific heat capacity is given, so formula which relates specific heat capacity and energy. The specific heat capacity is energy divided by mass into temperature change, or we can say energy is equals to specific heat into mass into temperature change. Specific heat capacity of the copper is 385 multiplied by mass of the water, mass of the copper, that is 0.2, multiplied by temperature change. How much temperature change we want? 10, multiplied by 10. This is the energy which is absorbed by the copper. Then energy absorbed by the water, we have the formula E is equals to Cm delta T. C is a specific heat, E is the energy, C is a specific heat. So that is 4200 for water multiplied by mass of the water is 0.1 multiplied by temperature change is 10. If we need the total energy to change the temperature, because we want the total energy which is needed to change the temperature of the water and the copper by 10 degree, so we will add them. So which option? 385 into 0.2 into 10 plus 4200 into 0.1 into 10. So which option it matches with? It matches with option B. That this is the energy for copper and this is the energy for water, and we add them to get the total energy supplied to change the temperature of the water as well as the temperature of the can by 10 degree centigrade. Is it clear? This question 5. In question 6, a student uses an immersion heater. Immersion heater means like a heater is there which is immersed in water to supply heat energy. The water is heated from 20 degrees to 80 degrees. Energy supplied is 60 kilojoule, means 60,000 joule. What is the thermal capacity? So how to work out the thermal capacity? How we can find the thermal capacity? So the thermal capacity is energy divided by temperature change. The energy which we supply, that is 60,000. Because it is kilojoule, so we have to convert into joule. So we have to multiply by 1000, so it makes 60,000. The temperature change 80 minus 20, that is equals to 60, because delta T is a change in temperature, difference in temperature, always a greater value minus smaller. So 0 will cancel with 0, this will be 6 and here it will be 1. So it matches with option C, that is 1000 joules per degree centigrade. Like for every 1 degree centigrade change in temperature, we need 1000 joules of energy. Another question. An object of mass 800 gram having a specific heat capacity of 250 joule per kilogram. So if the unit is joule per kilogram, it means I have to convert this mass into kilogram. So I should divide by 1000, so it will be 0.8 kilogram. We have the specific heat capacity, C is there. We have the mass, we have the energy supplied. We need increase in temperature or the change in temperature or delta T. So the formula, specific heat is equals to energy divided by mass into temperature change. Specific heat capacity is 250. Energy which we supply, that is 53,000. The mass is not 800, it is 0.8. Why? Because if specific heat is joule per kilogram, then the mass should be in kilogram. Into temperature change. So we need this temperature change, that will be multiplied other side, and 250 will come in place of delta T. So when we substitute the values, we can say delta T is equals to 5300 divided by 250 times 0.8. So when we substitute the values, it will come out as the delta T or change in temperature as 27 degrees centigrade, or we can say C will be the right answer. Is it clear? Discussion 7. So the important thing here is the formula. Like you have to memorize these formulas. Once you learn, there are straightforward questions. You just have to substitute the values and get the answer. If we supply same amount of thermal energy supplied to two objects X and Y. So we have example two object. One is X, another one is Y. The temperature rise for X is less than temperature rise for Y. So if the temperature change for X is smaller as compared to temperature change for Y. So the thermal capacity is directly proportional to energy supplied, and it is inversely proportional to temperature change. In the question we supply same amount of energy, so energy does not change. So which one will have a higher thermal capacity? The one which show a small change in temperature will have a higher thermal capacity. So it means the thermal capacity of X is higher and thermal capacity of Y is lower. So when we compare, X has larger thermal capacity than Y, so that's true, because if X is showing a smaller change in temperature, it means it will have a higher thermal capacity. We cannot say about thermal conductor, like why we cannot compare the thermal conductor. The thermal conductor, you should know the time, like you should know how much time X took to transfer energy and how much time Y took to transfer energy, and using the time you can compare the good thermal conductor. The one which is taking a short time, it's a good thermal conductor, but as in the question they did not mention anything related to time, so we cannot use these options. So we are left with either A or C, but because for X the temperature change is smaller, that's why it will have a higher thermal capacity. Is it clear? Any doubt in this question? Because if I say X is better thermal conductor than Y, or Y is better thermal conductor than X, then what I should know? I should know the time they take to transfer the heat energy. So when we supply heat energy to both X and Y, when we supply heat energy to both X and Y, like example, if I say X took 10 seconds to transfer heat energy from one end to another, and Y took 15 seconds to transfer heat energy from one end to another. So I can say X is a better conductor because it is taking a short time to transfer heat energy. But in this question, as you can see, they did not provide us anything related to time, so we cannot compare the thermal conductors. We cannot compare X is better thermal conductor or Y, because we don't have the time interval. So we are left with thermal capacity. So we can compare the thermal capacity. The thermal capacity is equal to energy divided by temperature change. In the question we provide the same amount of energy, so energy is same, energy is not changing for both. Like if I say I supply 100 joules of energy to X, it means I supply 100 joules of energy to Y. But the temperature change for X is smaller. Like example, when we supply energy, the temperature change for X is 2 degrees and temperature change for Y is example 10 degrees. So when we work out the thermal capacity, it will be 100 divided by 2, so that is 50. When we find the thermal capacity for Y, it is 100 divided by 10, so that is equals to 10. So you can clearly see when we supply equal amount of energy to different substances, the one which shows a small change in temperature is having a higher thermal capacity. A night storage heater containing a large block of material that is heated electrically. During the day, the block cools down and releases the thermal energy. Which thermal capacity and nighttime temperature will cause the most energy stored? So we have the formula. We have the formula that the thermal capacity is energy divided by temperature change, or thermal capacity multiplied by temperature change, we get energy. So in the question they are saying we want to increase the energy, most energy. So if we want to increase the energy, what I should do, I should increase the thermal capacity, because both are in numerator. If thermal capacity increases, the energy will also increase. And what about the temperature change? If I increase the temperature change, the energy will also increase. So as we want the greater energy, we should increase the thermal capacity and we should increase the temperature change. So A will be the right answer. Is it clear, this question 9? In question 10, the diagram shows, the diagram is, I removed the diagram from the question. So basically what happened, we supply the heat energy, the temperature of the water and the temperature of oil increase constantly. The temperature of oil is much greater than temperature of water. We supply same amount of energy, like one container is filled with water, another one is filled with oil. So when we compare the formula for thermal capacity, the thermal capacity is energy divided by temperature change. We are supplying same amount, same heater is used, so energy supplied is same. They mention for oil the temperature change is more, so if the temperature change is higher, the thermal capacity will be lower. The thermal capacity and temperature change are inversely proportional. For water, the temperature change is smaller, so it will have a higher thermal capacity. So the question is, we are supplying energy, why the temperature of the oil, the temperature change of oil is greater as compared to that of water, because oil is having a lower thermal capacity. So the one which is having a lower thermal capacity will show a greater change in temperature, and the one which is having a higher thermal capacity will show a small change in temperature, because higher thermal capacity means it can store greater amount of energy before the 1 degree temperature changes. Is this clear? Question 10. Then question 11, in an experiment, a thermometer is placed in a test tube which is filled with a hot liquid. The temperature of a liquid is recorded every half minute. The table shows the result. So the liquid is cool, hot liquid is there and it's cooled down. So when a temperature is changing, the state does not change. So from 73 to this part, it will be liquid. Why? Because the state is, when temperature is changing, state does not change. But from 55, like from 1.5 minutes to 2.5 minutes, the temperature is not changing. It means a liquid is turning into solid, liquid is freezing. And then this is all, as the temperature is decreasing, so it is all solid. So the question is, what is the melting point or freezing point? So melting point or freezing point, the temperature is not changing in this region, so that is 55. So freezing point is, or melting point is 55. Is it clear, discussion, that whenever the temperature is not changing, it means the state was changing. The diagram shows 4 blocks of steel. The blocks are all drawn same scale, the same amount of energy supplied. Which block shows the greatest rise in temperature? Because a small block, as you can see the sizes, A is a small block, so it cannot absorb too much energy. So if it cannot absorb too much energy, it will show a greater change in the size, and thermal capacity are directly proportional. If object is having a greater size, it will have a high thermal capacity. And if thermal capacity is higher, the temperature change will be smaller. So when we compare, like if I write them in order of thermal capacity, so A will have the lowest thermal capacity and D will have the highest thermal capacity. And the one which will have the highest thermal capacity, the temperature change will be smaller. Like example, if, and here lower thermal capacity, so temperature change will be higher. Example, if I supply same amount of energy to both block A and D, because block A is smaller, like I supply 100 joules of energy. Originally it was at 20 degrees. Here also I supply 100 joules of energy. Originally this is also at 20. So when I supply the energy, when we supply the energy, the temperature changes because it cannot not absorb too much energy. So the temperature, when a material cannot absorb too much energy, its temperature start to change because its particle are not able to hold that energy. So maybe this will have a temperature change from 20 to 25. But because this D is a large object, so when we supply 100 joule, there are many particles, so it can absorb greater amount of energy. So the temperature of the material does not change too much. So the which one shows the greatest rise in temperature, that will be A. Is it clear? So smaller size means smaller thermal capacity, which means a higher temperature change. So these are some questions related to the specific heat capacity and specific latent heat.